I mean, the escalation in Minnesota. What I do want to... Do I want to start with this? Yeah, we'll start with this. We're not going to watch the whole hour. Actually, I don't even think we're going to watch this one. Alright, we'll watch a little bit of this. I think he announced that the National Guard was coming after. So what happened today is one of the right-wing agitators, Jake Lang, he's a J6er who attacked police and was pardoned by Trump, obviously. And now he goes to cities that have large Muslim populations, and he Sikh Heils, he burns Qurans, he carries around bacon, like he holds anti-Muslim protests, and just complete asshole. Everything that is wrong with America, that is wrong with the right wing, that is Jake Lang. But so this afternoon, he had planned a march in Minneapolis with his friends, and it didn't go well for him. But like I said, I think this is after the march and after things kind of got a little bit crazy. I thought it was kind of funny. Not funny. I thought it was weird. There weren't any cops helping protecting Jake Lang and his followers while they marched in Minneapolis. But then I looked at the videos of him attacking officers on January 6th. It's like, okay, yeah, like if I knew that guy was somebody who attacked officers on January 6th, like I'm not gonna go as an officer myself. Me as somebody who respects fucking law enforcement and supports law enforcement, I think he should be in jail. I respect all the officers for not helping his bitch ass.
Like, ugh. Like, you're a governor, man. You're basically the president of your state. Like, what are we doing? Do something. I don't know. Also, yeah, I love when people go, don't say these guys are Nazis. When bovine Greg Bovino at 5'4" is always LARPing as a Nazi. Like, he loves looking like a Nazi commander.
Like, this outfit, bro, you are not beating the Nazi allegations. And then, like, rolling 40 deep just around the federal building to intimidate the protesters. Like, yo. He's an immigrant too. Well, he's the child of immigrants. Oh, I think I need to drop this down. Quality 360.
Okay. It's just, everything sucks. Everything sucks so bad.
Intimidated. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche appeared to hint at the investigation.
My mom hasn't understood for years why I said the Dems aren't doing shit, but Tim Walz's response made her finally understand what I've been saying. Yeah. Yo, not even trying to put you on the spot, but deadass, what would you do? I would shit up. I would 100% try to deploy the National Guard, okay? I would deploy the National Guard to protect the citizens of Minnesota and specifically Minneapolis. And I would direct law enforcement at the state level, especially, or even law enforcement at the local level, to make ICE agents' lives a living hell, because they're consistently violating the laws, right? They're violating traffic laws. They're harassing local businesses and shit like that. I would tell every Minnesotan, okay, that you can make a call to a police officer if an ICE agent is trying to get into your place of business and harassing you and frustrating you, and we will ensure that members of law enforcement will be there in less than 5 minutes to trespass them, okay? If you tell your population that you have their back and that you will use the local law enforcement to actually trespass people, cops will have to follow through on that. It doesn't matter what the FOP says, right?
And I mean, a lot of people are giving Tim Walz so much heat, but he's really stuck in between the anvil and the hammer, really. I definitely hear what Hassan is saying, but that puts you in a direct conflict with the federal government, and these agents are just itching to have an excuse to escalate things. Ever since they shot Renee Good, they have been instigating. As a matter of fact, there's a clip. I'm like 70% sure that it was a ICE officer who was embedded in the anti-ICE protests today in Minnesota, and they found out. They're like, "Yo, you're an ICE officer. Get the fuck out!" And so they started pushing him and shoving him and getting him out. And some guy was like, "Yo, no, he's chill. He's a protester. He's chill. Don't worry, don't worry." But then 2 minutes later, ICE van pulls up, 6 dudes deep, come out, surround the dude, back up, protect him, put him in the van, not in handcuffs, just like, all right, bro, you're caught, like, get in the car, let's go. But yeah, apparently he was trying to instigate things, trying to fire things up. So, I think... So Tim Walz has mobilized the National Guard, but it's going to be more of a support role, not in like, oh, we're going to escort Somali people to their, schools. We're going to protect schools. That's what I would do. If I had the National Guard at my disposal, I would protect holy places. I would protect schools. Just make an ICE-free zone. It's like, okay, like the National Guard, you're not going to have any enforcement actions around these areas, and my National Guard are going to be protecting these sensitive areas like churches and schools, like that, mosques, churches, schools, all that. I wouldn't want them to directly insert themselves in an ongoing action or enforcement, but I would say, hey, you guys can't pass. Like, you're not getting through this street. This street is off limits for y'all. That you got to thread the needle on this one, because we don't want a civil war. Like, the right wants a civil war. The right definitely wants a civil war. We don't want a civil war, though.
The Fraternal Order of Police in Minneapolis has said, or in the state of Minnesota has said, that they back ICE law enforcement operations 100%. But that's not the that's not the actual mandate. Okay? If the governor and the mayor is telling the public, we have your side, our cops will actually side with you. They will actually we will use the power that we have as local and state office to make ICE activities as difficult as possible in this state, then they will have too hard of a time. Make them waste money, restrict their freedom of movement, do everything you possibly can through the legal avenues, and also through the power that you command over your own state. Basically force cops to disobey openly if cross that bridge. No, I'm not even talking about that. You have legal means of making it a lot more difficult for ICE to operate in your state. Okay? If you noticed, I said if ICE agents are coming to your business, you can, as a business owner, say, I'm sorry, I don't want to serve you. Right? And when ICE agents say, F off, I'm an ICE agent, I will be served here. You can call the cops. The cops can trespass you. That is legal. That's totally valid. It's totally legal, right? This is a way to coordinate with the population to make things as difficult as possible for these federal agents to operate in your neighborhoods. But they're not doing it. They're not doing it. They lack the imagination and the political will, even though the population is demanding it.
Well, In that part, I do agree with, because I mean, Tim Walz says he's not running again because of all the harassment him and his kids have gotten. So you're not, in that sense, politically, you wouldn't be worried about backlash on using the National Guard to protect your citizens. But on the other hand, like the Department of Justice has already opened an investigation into Tim Walz and the mayor on obstruction of justice charges, which it is a honestly, it's vindictive prosecution. But if he did order the National Guard to physically stop and interfere with federal agents, then they have a case, and then they have the rule of law on their side. This way, he has the resources there, but he's not directly forcing them to interfere with federal agents. So he has them just in case. They're good. They're gonna be visual, so maybe it checks some of their some of ICE's constitutional violations. But could he do more? Yes. Would it help the situation? I don't know. This is such a situation we really shouldn't be in. It's 2026. We have over 200 years of history on why we shouldn't be racist, why we should be taking care of each other, why we should be respecting the Constitution and not abusing it. I was talking to my Lyft driver Friday. Oh, I already talked about that. I was like, you can quote all these different verses in the Bible to fit your narrative or whatever, but when you're not sure if you're doing the right thing, if you're not sure this is something that Jesus would want you to do or something like that, just fall back on what would Jesus do. Like, Jesus told you to love thy neighbor and told you to help the poor and help the sick. So if you're loving your neighbor, if you're helping the poor, you're helping the sick, and you're doing whatever you're doing, then it's a good thing. It's the right thing. If you're not doing one of those three things and it's and you don't feel good about what you're about to do, then don't do it. That's how we should be doing government. It's like, okay, is it helping the poor? Is it helping the needy? Does it solve a need for us? Is it beneficial for America? Is it America first? No? Okay, then we're not gonna do it.
Okay? You're overestimating the power politicians have over the police. You're wrong. You're wrong. Because let's say 30% of cops are not going to do that. They're going to say, nah, these guys are just basically cops as well. I don't want to do that. 70% of cops are still going to follow the orders. Many of them have neighbors. Many of them have family members that are working at these restaurants. Many of them have already heard the discontent from their friends and family members as well. You're thinking that all cops are basically, operating in the same like Gestapo mindset, and plenty are, right? Plenty are doing that. Fry said it's not possible and it's illegal. I don't believe that. Mayor of Minneapolis Jacob Frey questions Somalia candidate Omar Fateh if he would stand by arresting federal officers who are trying to enforce immigration laws. Omar Fateh stands by his plan to arrest federal officers and will even arrest ICE for wearing a mask. Jacob Frey said, no, that's illegal and it's not possible. It's bullshit. Omar Fateh was right. You can do that.
To direct Minneapolis police to arrest federal agents.
See, you don't want that.
That would be dangerous.
Don't want that.
That would be irresponsible.
Why? This was before all this shit happened, by the way, just so you understand. This was before all this shit happened.
Because the simple answer to why is because the federal agents wouldn't let you do it. They would pull their guns and we would have some sort of shootout or incident that literally... Man, are we already there? Like, are we already so fractured that like it wouldn't even matter?
This is all the way in October 27th, 2025.
Responsible. And my simple question is, how would our police officers do that? How would our police officers arrest federal agents when, simply put, they have much bigger guns and it would be illegal?
And we want, and that's part of it.
But we should actually dig in on the answer to this question, because this gets to the crux of the issues that we actually deal with. You committed to arresting federal agents. My simple question is how?
Yeah, well, if there's any federal agent that has a mask on, that should not be allowed in our city.
I agree with that, but how? How do you arrest them?
Well, we can work with our state partners, we can work with our attorney general, we can work with it cross-jurisdictionally, we can work as a city.
But specifically...
Alexa, volume level 2. Yeah, I think that's fair. And then all they have to do is comply with the law, is take off their masks. Like, we shouldn't have masked men driving around, pulling people over, detaining them, arresting them, abusing them.
How would you...
What do you mean? Enforce a mask mandate for public servants. If you're a public servant at the federal level or at the local level, you are not allowed to wear a mask anymore while you are engaging in operations. That is a perfectly valid local ordinance that you could push through and then demand the cops follow through on. Maybe not all of them are going to follow through on it, but you absolutely could push a local ordinance such as that one or a statewide ordinance such as that one and then force the ICE agents to follow through on that mandate. What are we doing? What are we doing? I hate the question how, okay? I hate the question how. The only reason why people like Frey say, how would we do this, is because they don't want to do it, okay? They don't want to do it. At Governor Walz's direction, an hour ago, this is the Minnesota Department of Public Safety says, at Governor Walz's direction, Minnesota National Guard have been mobilized and are staging to support local law enforcement and emergency management agencies. They are not deployed to city streets at this time, but are ready to help support public safety, including protection of life, preserving of property, and supporting the rights of all those who assemble peacefully. So they're not even doing this like unconditionally, we will help the Minnesotans here against ICE incursions, which is what Walz should say. And before people say, well, don't you think that would invoke a constitutional crisis? Yes, it would. That's the point. Okay? The point is it should push the federal government so that they can stand down. Because at that point, if the Democrats actually start doing things like this and openly state that they're doing things like this, then you have the federal government, sitting around and saying, hey, what do we do here? Do we just continue pushing? Do we actually lean into the constitutional crisis? Do we actually create an even bigger problem? Will we be able to deal with this much larger problem? Because there's a million different things that you are worried about if you are, running the White House. I know Trump has this like careless attitude in the way that he manages the country, manages the global economy, all this shit. But like ultimately, these are things that he has to fucking worry about. When he says, I'm going to invoke the Insurrection Act, he's just saying that as a posture, right? As this like militant posture. But like, it's not so easy to just like invoke the Insurrection Act and then follow through on it. It might ultimately not be possible for the National Guard to be fully involved because Trump could federalize it and take the command away from the state, but the local PDs could absolutely order their officers to form human walls between ICE and protesters. Yes.
I mean, that's kind of what the National Guard's going to be doing, is protecting the protesters from the ICE abusing them. And a court order, a judge has ordered the court ICE, like, yo, you're ICE officers, you're not your purpose is to enforce immigration. You cannot go outside of that umbrella to enforce traffic laws. You can't violate protesters' rights. You can't detain protesters for protesting. Like, yeah, shit like that. Let's see. Maybe I'll leave this play and then, because I have to go get my laundry.
They should be doing both. You're not seeing the whole picture. What are you going to do when ICE has 3 times as many agents as the cops? There's no support.
That's why you said bring in the National Guard. That's stupid.
All along.